Okay.
I just usually give it a couple minutes to let people get their alerts, people that are waiting for it so that they
Yeah.
get on in time. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. And so, yeah, just a free flowing conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciate you having me.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and trust that folks will come on. My name is Michael McCullough, better known as Mac. I'm here at Willard Library, and we're here with another episode of Stories at Sundown. And today, my guest is James Quice Williams. As Quice, as everybody knows him, we became acquainted, Quice and I, only about a couple of weeks ago. But I have the feeling I'm kind of in the minority because everybody knows who you are. It seems, and anytime I mention that you're coming on, they say, "Oh, cool." So anyway, it's been great to get to know you. And oh, now I'm having a little technical issue on this side. Oh well, we'll get through. Yeah, we started out here. Well, I grew up in Battle Creek, Washington Heights neighborhood, and was a standout football player. And I got an old picture, that I'm going to put up at some point today of you. But earned an academic scholarship to Olivet College, where he also played football and majored in communications and minored in criminal justice. Then had a professional career playing football in Poland and Germany. How am I doing so far, Quiz? Getting it
Doing
all?
good. You're doing
Yeah,
good. You're right on the money. You're right on the money.
yeah, yeah. And came back to town in I think 2016. You said.
Yes, sir.
And started, that minor in college turned out to be a major influence in your life because that's where you've followed your passion, starting out right here in Calhoun County, working for David Gilbert, the prosecutor here. That career took you to Atlanta, Georgia, and now Phoenix, Arizona, Maricopa County, where you work in the prosecutor's office there. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but also along the way, your bonds to Battle Creek have just remained rock solid. You do a lot still in your hometown. Stay in touch with people in your own town. Share their joys and also share their sorrows, and really help to make a difference in your hometown. So I'm just pleased to have you on, and welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you, Michael. Definitely hit everything. Definitely on the money. So appreciate you.
Awesome.
Appreciate you. Glad to be here. So
Yeah, that's great. So, I know a lot of your friends are watching this and they know where Quiz comes from, but I just now asked you, for the benefit of all of our viewers, it's just short for what?
it's short for Marquise. So it's just like Marquise, but Marquise. It's funny that you said that. I used to, when I was in school, a lot of my friends would ask me, like, what does Queese mean? And I'm like, it means fast in Africa. And they'd be like, are you serious? I'm like, no, I'm just so they was like, it makes sense why you was kind of a fast in high school. So I was like, I was all right. But
Yeah.
I always joke about it. But yeah, that's where it comes from. So middle name is Marquise. So
Oh, cool. So, there's a whole bunch I want to talk to you about. And obviously, we want to really touch on the things that you've been doing and the things that are coming up this year, because those are kind of exciting and we want
for
to know
sure.
about those. But, I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, how you ended up in criminal justice. I mean, you started out in communications major, but tell us a little bit about your work and what you're doing there and what
Yeah, so no, for sure. So how I pretty much was like, it was like a dive left. So it wasn't what I intended it to have. So I always wanted to be the broadcast radio host. So I always had that passion with the voiceover. I did many projects in Olivet College where I did that, and I did the national anthem as far as in the speak voiceover for games. It was amazing, and did freelance photography when at that time I was working for John Guap in 2012, and I'm pretty sure you know John. He's a
oh
great
yeah.
mentor of mine. I love him to death. And so when I got done and I realized like, hey, this, I want to do more. I want to be involved. And don't get me wrong, communications is definitely well broad, you know, degree. I mean, far as in subject to be in career wise too. But I definitely wanted my hands in, and be more of a voice for people. And once I graduated, I still had the passion to still play, and I wanted to, abroad overseas, and then that was the success career that I had in a short period of time. And once I came back, I tapped into kids, and when I was working with kids, I was a mentor to the Boys and Girls Club. Also, I did part time through Bering Springs, but also I also had the opportunity to also work with juvenile out of Marshall. So that's when that advocacy came in. I started working closely with kids, and then they also I would transfer them to courts. I would do a lot of different things, just let them know, monitor their time. Pretty much like a sporadic watch, and I was there the whole time, and I see that they were looking for another advocacy to work with adults, and I knew someone that was real close with Melissa that works down at the prosecutor's office, and also with Dave Gilbert. And so when I applied and they brought me right on board, it was like, yeah, we already know all about you, Quice. I was like, oh, nice. So, so the
Your
rest is history.
reputation precedes you.
Yeah. And the rest is history. So, but as a victims advocate, that's what I do. I work for the courts. I work property and financial crime. So I'm head of one of the people that's over here in Maricopa County through our office. But in Michigan, I've been well known to do that. And also Atlanta, Georgia, where I work investigations through Zone 1, Zone 6. Pretty much, I was a lot of DV cases, going to trial in most cases, but really a lot of those victims that wanted to seek closure and get restitution because but believe it or not, there's a lot of victims that don't understand or people don't understand the court situation, how it works, or to be a voice and let them know how things transition, how to stay on their case and be updated as far as in the victim's rights, or a lot of different things because in different states is also different, but you also have a voice to be heard and be represented well too. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the court system is intimidating for anybody, even if
oh
you
yeah,
kind of know it. But for a lot of folks, man, it's just it's hard to navigate, and you're already going in with a trauma of some sort if you're a victim of a crime, right?
definitely it can be very traumatized, especially when you don't know. It's the situation itself is already traumatizing for a while in which you be in, talking to authorities, talking to anybody that's not in the circle of or trust. So for a victim or a family to gain that report or that trust within me says a lot, but also to let them know, like, hey, we're here for you. I want to help you. But also, and I think as a victim's advocate, you always go above and beyond the position because there's resources, there's other things that we tag along with the job description, and also to help them to further along or to seek, justice as far as in what happened to them with the family. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so as we've gotten to know each other, just talking a little bit, obviously where you came from, really, I mean, you're always talking about where you came from. I mean, I think there was a quote there that Battle Creek is always bred in me. It's home and family. It's what keeps me going. But your upbringing, your childhood, your neighborhood, all of
yeah.
that plays into it. So talk to us a little bit about that. And I especially love the story that you shared with me about your experience at A&J. So
Yeah, no, for sure. So I came from the north side of Battle Creek. Was bred from like Jordan Street, Plymouth, Oneida. My family lived in the project, so we was family owned neighborhood, or pretty much just everybody knew us. My last name was Williams, so kind of Battle Creek is small, so the last name speaks for itself.
sure.
Um, Grew up with the family. Everybody was close. My grannies was on Manchester. Lived everybody so close. We all knew each other from blocks. So a lot of us that did anything crazy or knew schools and anything, we was definitely notified through our parents real quick. Um, when as I grew up, I lost my father at an early age. I lost him to heart failure, and it was at the age of 7. So that kind of put a kind of a gap in a lot of as far as in being a breadwinner my dad was of our family, so kind of left my mom to be the head, and that's we struggled a lot coming up.
Yeah.
And as I was transitioning from Lincoln to N.J. At that time, that's when Lincoln closed down and went to N.J. I got in a lot of trouble. I didn't have a lot of guidance at that time when I was a young age, and like any young young teen or young boy would, when he's not guided in most ways. And I would do a lot of things just to get attention. I would get in fights. I would do a lot of things just to not to go to school. And one time I got into a real, we'll say bad situation, but I got into a fight on the bus where it pretty much got me kicked off, and authorities was called, and they ended up finding me. I ended up going back to the school, and at that time I had my grade principal was Mr. LeGrand, so it was Reggie LeGrand. I'm pretty sure Mr. LeGrand.
Oh yeah.
Mr. LeGrand was he was my principal at that time, and he sat me down And he was like, he said, what's up, Williams? They always call you by your last name. So they were like, what's up, Williams? This is basically the third time you in my office this week. What's going on? And I didn't, most of the young kids, I was shrugging my shoulders like I didn't care at that time. And he was like, he was basically asking me like, what we gonna do to fix this? What's going on? What he said, what we need to do? Same thing. I'm just shrugging my shoulders like, whatever, just send me home. And the first thing he asked me, he was like, how's home? And when you're young and somebody asks you how was home, you know, somebody means they care, because nobody never asked me how I was home or how was, I was dealing with things. And first thing you thought as a kid is going to send me home or send me back to school. What you want to do, you know what I mean, or suspend me for 2 weeks or whatever you want to do to discipline. And I told him how home was and what was the struggles, and he then asked, "Where's your father?" And at that time, I was like 11 years old or so, and I was like, "My father passed." And he was like, "I'm very sorry for that." He said, "I'm sorry about that." And he's like, "You know what?" He said, "When I was a young kid too, my father passed too." And when you're young like that and somebody tells you they can relate to you for, the empathy side, man, it definitely hit home. And it was like, man, somebody else just like me had the same situation, or I can felt what I felt. And after we got done talking, I was seeing Mr. LeGrand probably like twice a week, or like pretty much all the day. I mean, every day at ANJ. And I was put in this host program. For those who know what host program was, from Lincoln to NJ, it was a successful program. And I was put in this program with a mentor. They had just monitor as far as in my schoolwork, after school, if I was in sports, and we'd do like outside things outside of ANJ or wherever I was doing. And I had a mentor that came to me. They set me with a mentor. His name was Mr. Kirsten. It was Norm Kirsten. I remember to this day. He was a great guy. Norm Kirsten came to me. He was an older gentleman, had glasses. He had like the overalls. He was just one of those typical granddads you thought. And he came to me. He stared at me. When an older man stares at you, you're like, okay, what's going on? At that time, I was young with braids. I was a young guy, just and he looked at me. He was like, "What's your last name?" And I had a name tag. I was like, it just said James, but I was like, Williams. And he was like, James Williams. And he said, "You gonna be back here tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, I want to show you something." He said, "I'm gonna bring you something tomorrow. I want to show you something." So the next day we come back, and he brings a yearbook to me. And he was like, "I want you to open up this yearbook, and I want you to go to page, it was like 33 or 32." So I'll open up the page, the yearbook. I go to the page, and he said, "I want you to scroll to Williams." So I scrolled to it, and I looked at the picture. It was a picture of my dad.
Wow.
It was a picture of my dad when he played at Southeastern Middle School. And I saw all these highlights of my dad in these pictures. He said, "Your dad was one of my best athletes." He was like, "Your dad was one of the fastest guys in the city. Your dad was one of the best football players. And also, we won the championship in basketball at Southeastern at that time." And I couldn't believe it, because I heard stories as a kid of how great my father was in sports, and his nickname was Fly, and all these things. And I never knew nothing about this. You mind, he died at 7 years old. So, I wouldn't know nothing about it. And man, that just warmed my heart, because he asked, he was like, "Where's your father now?" And I was like, "He passed years ago." And he was like, "I'm very sorry to hear that." He said, "But," he said, "I want you to stay with me." He said, "I want you to be on this path." He said, "Because he said, your father was a good man. I'm pretty sure that will lead down into, that'll lead to where you want to go." And ever since then, I stayed out of trouble. I reached high level success with academics, and I stayed off the streets. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to play sports, but I just wanted to be like my father. So rest in peace to Mr. Kirsten, man. He was a great mentor, and he helped me out a lot. And also thanks to Mr. LeGrand, because if without him, I probably would have never met Mr. Kirsten. So
Yeah, we have another comment here from a host mentor for many years. And I'm even getting chills now. I got chills when you told me this before, and I shared a couple of other stories like that weren't quite as, come out. And it just reveals like the power of just a single relationship, or just being curious, to find out. And we lose so many young people, and I imagine that's what motivates you, because there're just too many of them, and there aren't enough people that step up and say, "What's going on?" Right?
for sure, yeah, especially like what's going on throughout the city, and I'm pretty sure you saw we losing a lot of young lives. Imagine like natural causes of death. We can deal with those because we're in celebration of
Right.
life.
Yeah.
But imagine a young person losing life. We even get a chance to celebrate the 21st, let alone their 18th. A lot of these guys don't make it past 25. And I think what hits Battle Creek the most is that we know families. We know these kids. Even if you didn't know the kid personally, you knew something of their family, or you knew what school, or you knew what sport they was a part of. So it felt like it hit home, and it was so close to home. And even just over these past time, man, it's been a very tragic and unfortunate situations. And I come from that. I come from losing a relative, losing a friend. You know, a lot of one of my close friends, young, was, at that time, we was 18, 19, was murdered. You know what I mean? So it definitely, hits home. And sometimes it's like it's a duties for a lot of us to give back to young kids, to let them know, not even just to remind them of how the trauma was, but how to move forward, how to be successful, how to want to chase a dream or a vision that you have, because we didn't have that coming up. We didn't have that. All we had was family, or we had sports to get out of. So nowadays, the kids have an option to be an entrepreneur, to be their own boss, or to want to go to trade school, or to go to engineering, welding. That's amazing. Or to start their own business from home. And when I even, like I said, when we was in school, all we had was, we had to play a sport, or you had to seek high academics. That was the go-to. You know what I mean? So, and I'm pretty sure in 2008 there was a lot of different changes. Then it don't seem like it wasn't that while ago, but it was. So it's amazing to have certain things, to be prolific within your craft. And I'm forever grateful for the path that I chose, because it would make me who I am today. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely grateful for that. So
And I bet a lot of people are, because you're helping people that need it. I will. You now, I want you to talk about your entrepreneur side too, because I mean, I don't know where you get your energy from. I wish I could tap into a little of it. But in
yeah.
addition to a demanding career and your advocacy work with young people, you make time to be an entrepreneur. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I have three businesses, and which is, the first one is called Real Grind. So that's my clothing, my mentor, my online fitness. So online, I'm a fitness coach, and I'm also a former strength and conditioning, and also a defensive back coach at Battle Creek Central. Shout out to Battle Creek Central. The Bearcats, they in the playoffs tonight, so hopefully they can get the regionals. And so I did that for quite a little bit of time. And real grind pretty much is just a real grind fitness. You a real grind far as in what you do every day. You can't fake it. You know what I mean? So I wanted something that represents me. And as far as, and I'm a guy, I'm a go getter. I'm gonna get up every day. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna also go to work, and also after hours I do more work. You know what I mean? That's a real grind, and it takes dedication. It takes a mental focus, as I was always taught. It takes mental focus, and you have to separate yourself for the vision, and also the things that you want. So I wanted to have that and represent me. And I definitely can, like we said, we talked before, I can tell you where the website, and you can purchase merch and all these other things too, and also to find out updates of what I do. So that's one of my other business with Real Grind, for pretty much anybody that can be tagged to it, and also that represents you as far as what you do in your everyday life. And then my second business is my nonprofit, which is City Kids Day. And City Kids Day is a free carnival day across the city of Battle Creek, where local sponsors and business will come together, devote their time to give back to the kids across the area. Free shoes, free clothes, free donation, and it's given just for the city for one day. And we always do it in the city of in the summertime, which is always in June. Um, we're down at the Kellogg Arena. So if you guys don't know, it's pretty right across the street from Full Blast on Van Buren. That way. So I almost forgot. But so we just
Right off
reached out.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. Sometimes I know it. But so we definitely, that's been a successful event we're going on 4 years now, 4 years strong. Um, that's been a high mark for us. We reached well over 1,500 families without these past couple years. So it's been a successful event. I'm very grateful for the relations I have with local businesses and sponsors that's been along with us, and it's been an amazing journey so far to do that. And then my third business that I have, It's a Black Men's Excellent, where we gather all individuals and across Battle Creek area, individuals that are mentors, individuals that are business owners, and pretty much just standing on your own 2 feet, just Black pillars, and we all come together, pretty much just giving flowers. And
Mhm.
believe it or not, as far as what's going on today, it's been very, very high key to give a young man or individual their flowers and about what they do and achievements, because a simple saying like, hey, yeah, keep going, king, keep going, individual, keep going, young man, and you're going to definitely reach those heights. And that's one of my main things this year, is just pretty much giving people their recognition, their awards. And that's what we want to do for the city of Battle Creek. So I've just been pretty much just donating my time just to say like, hey, I want to help you out as much as you help me out. So it's about the giving back is just very, very key for us nowadays. So
Yeah. I don't know if you can see these, Quiz. I've been putting up a couple of photos.
yeah.
Mhm.
Who's that guy? Who's that
Yeah, it is that guy.
guy?
And there you are.
Yeah.
You have a proclamation from Mayor Benke, I believe, right?
Yep, Mayor Banky. So
Yeah.
earlier last year in February, we released a proclamation. So City Kids Day is a now official day in Battle Creek on June 25th. So all around the area, so they know, just like any other day, like Juneteenth, June, anything from 4th of July. But as far as in any day within that day on the 25th every year in June is City Kids Day. So they all know, like, Happy City Kids Day. When we originally got the name going, Mayor Banky, they wanted to name it Quice Day, and I'm like, no, 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 no. So we actually talked about that. I was like, I couldn't even do that. That's too much. But I was like, I wanted to be a part of this, a part of the city. This is about the kids. It's never about me. And
Yeah.
much as any recognition that I ever had in my life, I don't want it. Not as in like I don't want it, as in I'm not deserving, but it's far beyond me. And when if you ever want to find yourself, you basically you lose yourself in the service of others. And I always been told, like, it's bigger than us, and Battle Creek is bigger than me, but it made me. So it's like I want to make sure that that lives forever. So I'm very honored to, we're gonna keep this going for the long ride. So
Man. Are you networked with, some of the local entrepreneurs here? Are you mentoring any, local, uh, people that are doing their own thing with this?
yeah, definitely. So I network with a lot of businesses back home, and stay in contact with them pretty close. You kind of form this family. You always say it's our colleagues or our business partners, but you develop a friendship. You develop a rapport. As time goes, and yes, and definitely for a lot of young men and women back there, and it's because of sports. So we definitely stay in contact with athletes that I help coach over the years. I make sure I still tap in with them, even when they go to college. We make sure that that they still matter, because it's a transition. And when they come to you and ask you like, "Hey, how was college?" or "How was it?" Why is it so many classes I got to take? And they become their own individual. And then when they come and ask you, because you've been in their shoes, and young lives and young people, they can relate to those things. They can relate because you know what it was as to be a student athlete, and also just as a person to been in college, or just to get into the seeking the real world. And when you can do something like that, man, it's so much higher to reach, and it's so much that you can do and what you can create. So definitely, I'm very honored to do that. And they always say, though, your network is your net worth. So I believe in that, because what you pour into people, that's money. What
Yeah,
you do into other people, that comes back to you, that's more money. So even if I don't have enough money is in self pocket, and I'm pretty okay with what I do, but the further money is more to people that you display with. That's gold. That's forever beyond. And when you can do something like that, you're gonna for always be rich. So that's my money, and all these things that I do is for free. It's not, it's no money coming back to Queese or anything like that. This is all for the city of Battle Creek. This is all for, what we want to display, and to live forever when we are, dead and gone and beyond this earth. And we pray to God that was an eternal lives forever. So this is what we wanted to do, and this is how it is. And it's like those mentors that coach me or that have me in my life. They're always honored to give back. And I remember, as I was, it was in 2008, I received a academic scholarship, and I received the Al Lieber scholarship. And Mr. Lieber, rest in peace. he told me and Evan Gray, a good buddy of mine, he was like, he said, when you guys, get older and live your life, make sure that you guys get back. And that stuck with us. So we made sure, we hope that we still doing our due diligence and we didn't let you down, coach. So that was one of the big things for us.
It's awesome. I wanted to share a video that I stumbled across um, by, let me see. You recognize this, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's the creative side. So, oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
let me see.
video, yeah, that video was created with my guy Eric McLeod. Eric McLeod is a photographer, videographer. He does a lot of creative videos across Battle Creek area. He also went to college with me at Olivet College. And what's so fun, what's amazing about Eric was I was as he was transitioning, we both graduated together from Olivet College, and he's a communications major too. So we both graduated at the same time, and I was one of his first, like I won't say projects, but one of his first people to touch the ground, to do a lot of different things with his vision. And he's actually Eric partners with me with City Kids Day and a lot of projects that I do in Battle Creek, and we have so much more to go. But I'm forever grateful for Eric because he makes my work look so good. So, and he
I'm gonna. This is
makes it
just.
look so awesome.
This is less than a minute, so I wanted to go ahead because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
And
this was shot at Northwestern Middle School too. And yeah, it's the motion thing.
Eh, you did all right.
I've been
That was
laughing.
awesome.
That was
And
coming.
and that guy that was in the video, that was my Rocket football coach. That was Chris Capers. Chris Capers was actually one of my first coaches when I came into, and also Tony McClendon. They were one of my first coaches when I came into Rocket League as a young age. When I was getting in those troubles, that was actually one of my getaways and play sports. And believe it or not, my first love was football. And but as I
I'm
got older,
sorry, you
that
had a
was
little
realized
glitch
that
here. Your first love was what?
my first love was actually basketball coming up as
Oh,
a kid. And I think at that time I was just too fast to run with the ball, they say. But so yeah, so then I just ended up sticking with football. And then Chris Caber. And then when I came on to practice, they was like, man, we got to keep this kid on. It was like we was running suicides, and I would outrun all these kids that was older than me. And they was like, man, we bring him back. Like let's have him back the next practice. And ever since then, it was like deer in headlights, and it was like Forrest Gump. So I was just running, and as years go on, I developed my skills, and the rest was history. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. And just to kind of bring it full circle, I mean, what you keep talking about is people, people connecting to people, people being connected to each other, and
yeah,
I mean, we're still as a community, we go up and down in terms of what makes it the news and but tragedy, and we've had too many this year already. What
man, yeah.
how do we how do we come together as a community and say, this is unacceptable, and what can we do?
I feel like the biggest thing we have to do is show up. Um, what I mean is that when you show up, you show people gratitude and actually not just saying it, but doing it. We don't confirm dates or anything. We confirm arrivals. I always believed in showing up. Kids don't always go by what you say, they go by what you do. And also people too. So the biggest thing for me is like I have to put action behind my words because words don't mean nothing to a lot of people. I can say, "Hey, I feel sorry for your loss. I feel sorry for this was going on," or I can say anything behind closed doors or the internet or whatever you can say nowadays. But it's not gonna mean anything if I don't actually show my appreciation side or my empathy side of actually paying it forward or actually showing that I care because those are meaningful to people. You know, saying that you're going to do do it versus that you will do it is two different things. And I had to, that was one of the things for me because, coming up, what would I look like that, for those who didn't show up, that showed up to me, that I won't pay it forward or I won't show up for them. That's showing the efforts of what you've been doing. That shows the efforts that these people that's been grateful in your life, that you have to pay it forward to them, but also the people that's around them. So it'd be a disservice if I didn't. But the first thing I always say is that we have to show up. We have to show the meaning things behind the words that we say. And usually with that it becomes effort, but also in time, and we can't stop everything that goes on in life, but we can start with ourselves. And once you start with yourself and you start with the things that you can control, and then as things goes and you set that example, people will follow. And I may not grasp for everybody, but I definitely will get majority. And once I lead by that for an example, and I show that, hey, that this guy is doing something different or showing that he's doing steps, a lot of things will naturally go as in time, and change will happen. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. We always say it's the marathon, it's the race, and we at our own pace. So
I did. I wanted to put up. You mentioned your website, and I wanted to go ahead and put that up so people could see it. Um, and yeah, and one of I'm sure you know Joanne Williams. She says love this. She believes she was a professor there at the Olivet, right?
yep, yes, Joanne, I love Joanne. Joanne was my mother in college. She
Ah,
was Oh yeah. So Joanne was she was my mother in college. She was pretty much was the when everything it's like your mother knows what's going on. And if you had a bad day, if you didn't get your assignment in time, Joanne made me use my voice. As far as, and I think that's where I get most of my energy. As I got energy as an athlete, as a person, but I have to get more energy when I speak in front of the people. And that's one of the things with communication, your voice, and actually taking a public speaking class. And I did that with her husband, Art Williams. He's amazing too. And so she made me use my voice, and I had to use pretty much it was my beat, which was actually sports. So it's like if you're gonna actually be a great athlete, be a great voice speaker too. So I had to learn to get over. I had to learn to get over that hump of actually meaning well, but also speaking to other people. And I'm forever grateful for Joanne. She the one that told me that you're gonna do so more than what this major is. She was like, use football and sports as your beat. And when she told me that, I feel like I could fly. She was like, "You're gonna do so many different things. You're gonna be the jack of all trades." And it was like right before we submitted our portfolio. I don't think kids do this nowadays in college. We submitted our portfolio in college at that time, and I submitted my last like draft for like basic reporting, or I think it was law and ethics. And Joanne was like, basically, she brought me into her office. She was like, "Okay," she said, "Go beyond this." And I didn't know what she meant at that time, but she was like, "Go beyond this." She was like, use sports and football as your beat. She said, that ain't your last football game you just played. And she was like, you're gonna play more, you're gonna beyond, you're gonna do so more that it's gonna shock you. And it did. And that was amazing at that time just to have in the words that she said. So Joanne, I love you. Thank you so much for that. And it means so much. And she's ever forever been part of my life any furthermore. So that's what it was. So
thank you, Joanne. I bet you didn't know you were going to be part of this program, but appreciate it.
right. But yeah,
And
Joanne's
just one more question because I know how important it is to you, and that's your relationship with God. Um, I've seen John shot a video of you talking about that.
oh
And
man, yeah.
how do how does that show up for you, and what does that mean to you?
Well, my relationship with God is so critical because as He's shown me that He never left my side. As much as I displayed a lot of different things. I grew up in my life, losing my father, losing touch with certain things, being in very unfortunate situations, getting in trouble with the law, school, anything, etc. And He still had me covered. He still was there for me. He was still my shield. You know what I mean? And I believe in power of prayer. That's what keeps us going. That keeps us connected. I was raised by that. I was raised Baptist in a local church with my family church. With my uncle. My uncle was my pastor. My auntie was she was my other assistant first lady pastor. So we grew up in the church. So a lot of us grew up knowing what's going on. My mother was church secretary. So it's been adapted for me since I was yay high, and that's huge for us. And I actually connected with John, was actually from Olivet College. He actually came and spoke at a seminar that we had, and I was so fascinated how well he spoke, and also that he worked with the Inquirer when I actually had an internship with him. Me and him just formed a relationship over the years. So anytime I'm in Battle Creek or I come home, the first person I would visit is John, and we a fellowship. And we ask about each other, how we doing, and we pretty much seek mentorship about everything else, and we talk to each other about these things. And that was very, that was honorable to do so with him, and because it kept me going. So having